History is filled with brilliant military commanders, men who won impossible battles, men who outsmarted their enemies, men whose victories changed the course of nations. Yet many of these same commanders eventually made the exact same mistake. A mistake so common that military historians still study it today. It is known as the genius trap. The genius trap does not happen because someone is unintelligent. In fact, it usually happens to the smartest people in the room. It begins with success. One victory leads to another, then another, and another. Soon, confidence starts to grow. At first, confidence is useful. Every great commander needs it. But over time, confidence can become something far more dangerous. Certainty. The moment a leader begins to believe that past victories guarantee future success, the trap begins to close. History provides countless examples. Few are more famous than Napoleon Bonaparte. By 1812, Napoleon appeared unstoppable. He had defeated powerful armies across Europe. Kingdoms had fallen before him. Empires had been forced to submit. His military reputation was unmatched. Every previous campaign seemed to prove the same thing. Napoleon always found a way to win. Then came Russia. When Napoleon launched his invasion, he believed another victory was within reach. After all, his previous strategies had worked repeatedly. Why would this campaign be any different? But Russia was different. The Russians refused to fight on Napoleon's terms. They retreated, destroyed supplies, abandoned territory, and drew the French army deeper into the vast Russian interior. Still, Napoleon pushed forward. Every previous success reinforced his belief that victory was inevitable. That belief became his greatest weakness. By the time he reached Moscow, the trap had already closed. The city burned. Supplies vanished. Winter approached. And the greatest army in Europe began to collapse. Napoleon had not disappeared. His experience had not vanished. But confidence had slowly become overconfidence, and overconfidence had blinded him to risks that should have been impossible to ignore. Yet Napoleon was not alone. More than 2,000 years earlier, another brilliant commander faced a similar problem. His name was Hannibal. Hannibal achieved one of the greatest victories in military history at the Battle of Cannae. His tactics were so effective that military academies still study them today. The Roman army was devastated. The road to victory appeared open. But success created new challenges. Hannibal found himself deep inside enemy territory, far from reliable reinforcements, far from home. His earlier victories made future success seem inevitable. But war rarely follows expectations. Over time, the situation shifted. Rome adapted. Resources became strained. And the opportunity created by victory slowly disappeared. Once again, brilliance alone was not enough. The genius trap had appeared. The same pattern can be seen throughout history. Even during the American Civil War, General Robert E. Lee achieved remarkable victories against larger Union armies. His reputation grew with every success. Many considered him one of the greatest commanders of his era. Then came Gettysburg. Confident after previous victories, Lee chose to take enormous risks. The result became one of the most famous defeats in American military history. Different century, different battlefield, different commander, the same trap.
That is what makes the genius trap so dangerous. It is not tied to one country, one army, or one period of history. It follows human nature itself. Success changes the way people think. The more often a strategy works, the more difficult it becomes to question it. Warnings are ignored. Risks are underestimated. Alternative possibilities receive less attention. The leader begins seeing future challenges through the lens of past victories, and that is where danger begins. Military academies around the world continue studying this lesson today. Because the genius trap is not limited to warfare. It appears in business, politics, sports, and everyday life. People often assume failure comes from ignorance, but history shows that failure frequently comes from misplaced confidence. The most dangerous mistake is not knowing too little. It is believing you already know enough. The greatest strategists understand this. They remain skeptical of their own assumptions. They question their plans. They listen to criticism. And they recognize that every new challenge is different from the last. In the end, the genius trap is not a story about intelligence. It is a story about humility. Because history's greatest commanders were not defeated by a lack of talent. Many were defeated by the belief that their talent made them unbeatable. And that may be the most important military lesson of all.